Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Quest Hut. We're ready to explore and explain the unbelievable facts of science with you. Today, we're tackling one of the most fundamental and divisive questions in all of biology. Are viruses truly alive, or are they just inert chemical robots? The answer isn't simple, and the debate reveals just how much we still don't know about the basic rules of life itself. How can something that looks completely, fundamentally dead and inert suddenly spring to life inside another cell? And it defines one of the greatest mysteries in all of biology. We are talking about the virus, and the shocking truth is that it operates on timescales that defy our understanding of life. Scientists have successfully revived giant viruses such as Pithovirus sibericum from the Siberian permafrost, where they lay frozen and dormant for a staggering 30,000 years. 30 millennia later, they thawed out, woke up, and were still perfectly capable of infecting their hosts. Can a particle that survives deep freeze for 30,000 years be called alive? Can it be called dead if it's still capable of causing a global pandemic? The greatest minds in microbiology, evolutionary theory, and biophysics remain divided, and that division reveals something profound about the fuzzy edges of existence. If you love exploring science at the absolute edge of our understanding, hit that subscribe button now and give us a like. It helps us bring more mind-bending science straight to you. Let's get into the debate. Before we dive into the arguments, let's quickly define our subject. Stripped down to its core, a virus is a surprisingly simple structure. It is essentially a sophisticated package of genetic instructions ready to be delivered. A virus is composed of three primary parts. At the core is the genetic material. This is either DNA or RNA, the blueprint for making more copies of the virus. Encasing this precious blueprint is the capsid, a tough, protective protein coat, which you can think of as a microscopic, complex Lego shell. Finally, some viruses, like the flu or SARS-CoV-2, also possess an envelope, a fatty outer layer stolen from the membrane of a previous host cell, which helps it sneak into new cells undetected. But a virus is not a cell. It possesses none of the internal machinery necessary for self-maintenance or energy production. It is an extremely well-designed parasite, but it is nothing more than a biological message in a bottle. And this absence is the basis for the argument against it being alive. For decades, the standard definition of life has relied on a set of criteria. If an organism fails to meet even one of these basic requirements, the argument for it being non-living becomes overwhelmingly strong. Viruses fail three critical ones, starting with the simplest. First, no cellular structure. Every undisputed living thing, from the simplest bacterium to the largest whale, is composed of one or more cells. This cell is the fundamental unit of life. It's the factory, the power plant, and the recycling center all in one complex package. The virus is just the blueprint and the box it came in, making it an infectious particle, but fundamentally not a cellular one. No metabolism! This is perhaps the most significant scientific objection to calling viruses alive. Metabolism is the sum of chemical processes that occur within a living organism to maintain life, meaning converting food into energy, eliminating waste, and carrying out basic biological functions. A virus cannot do any of this, as it can't eat, breathe, or produce its own energy. Outside of a host, a virus is chemically inert. It's simply a dormant, crystallized arrangement of protein and nucleic acid, passively waiting. To put this into an easily digestible analogy, a virus outside a host cell is like a USB flash drive sitting on a table. It contains incredibly complex, complete instructions, the program to build more copies of itself, but it does nothing, requires no energy, and performs no function until it is plugged into a computer. The virus is the USB, the cell is the computer. Third, obligate intracellular parasitism. Following directly from the lack of metabolism, viruses cannot reproduce on their own. They are totally reliant on the host cell, and they are not reproducing in the way a bacterial cell divides into two new cells. Instead, they are forcing the host cell's own machinery to assemble new viral components, which means this is not autonomous reproduction, but rather cellular hijacking. Therefore, under the classical criteria of life, viruses are firmly classified as non-living chemical complexes. But to declare viruses not alive based on a few missing cellular components feels to many scientists like clinging to an outdated, narrow definition. The counter-argument posits that the ability to reproduce and, more importantly, the ability to evolve are the supreme characteristics of life. Viruses are masters of both. First, they replicate. While they need help, the result is undeniable. Within minutes of entry, one viral particle can lead to the explosive release of thousands of new, genetically identical particles. They carry the instructions for life, and they successfully execute those instructions, making the virus highly successful if the goal of life is to make more of itself. Second, they adapt and evolve. This is the killer argument for the alive camp, as evolution through natural selection is the hallmark of life. Viruses are not static particles, they mutate at a rapid, staggering rate, which constantly generates new surface keys to unlock different cellular doors. The yearly challenge of creating a new flu vaccine or the constant emergence of new, more infectious COVID variants is proof of their evolutionary prowess. They are not just chemistry, they are clever, evolving chemistry, which must surely qualify them for the title of life. The complexity of the two opposing arguments has led many scientists to abandon the binary question altogether. The emerging consensus suggests that life is not an on-off switch, but rather a wide, deep spectrum. Viruses exist not on one side or the other, but on the knife edge, sometimes referred to as the edge of life. In this view, viruses are often called biological zombies. They possess no independent drive, no awareness, and no self-sustained activity, making them simple carriers of code. Their entire existence is dedicated to a single primal instruction set: replicate. They only have one command, and they pursue it relentlessly, which is the very definition of a replicator. Ultimately, asking if viruses are alive leads to an even more profound question. Where did they come from? Did they exist before life as we know it, acting as the primordial soup of genetic exchange? Or did they emerge from living cells through regressive evolution? Perhaps they are simply runaway bits of cellular DNA that escaped the cell and formed their own infectious vehicles. The answer remains uncertain. But the final mind-bending twist connects them directly to us. Scientists estimate that a staggering 8% of the human genome, 8% of the DNA inside every cell in your body, consists of sequences derived from ancient, long-dormant viruses. These endogenous retroviruses successfully inserted their genetic code into the DNA of our ancestors millions of years ago, and we have been passing them down ever since. The virus didn't just infect life. In a very real way, it became part of life. It literally helped write the code for humanity. Maybe the mystery isn't the virus, maybe the real mystery is life. Now, I want to hear from you. What do you think? Are viruses alive, or are they just clever, self-assembling chemistry? Let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, and share the channel. It truly helps the Quest Hut grow. See you then!